my name is Lauren, and this is the TeaKnits podcast. This is episode 7, and it is April 10th, 2017. It is a nice spring day here in upstate New York. It is about 75 degrees. The sun is shining. I think there's some clouds outside now, but it's a lot different than the last time I podcasted, where I was talking about the snowstorm Stella, where we had 3 feet of snow. All of that snow, now 3.5 weeks, is gone. There are flowers that are blooming, buds on trees, and spring is definitely underway. With all that melting snow and a lot of rain on top of it, we do have some high rivers and hopefully not too much flooding in the coming weeks. But spring is definitely here. I think that snowstorm was the last hurrah of winter, or so I hope. And warmer days ahead. Although it's supposed to drop back down a little bit cooler later this week, that's okay, as long as we don't end up with another 3 feet of snow. So again, my name is Lauren. I'm Elbeth21 on Ravelry and on Instagram, and we have a TeaKnits podcast group on Ravelry, so please come check us out there. We have some discussions, we talk about different projects that we are working on, information about our knit-alongs, etc. So this week I'm actually on spring break, which is why I'm podcasting about a day late. It's nice. It's nice to be able to charge the batteries, not have to worry about getting up at 5:45 tomorrow morning to get up, get ready, drive to campus, which is my commute's about a half an hour, and then teach a lab by 8 a.m. So it's nice to be able to charge the batteries this week, and to boot, we have nice weather. So if you see me looking down, Carl is in my lap. He is purring, smiling, and when Carl smiles, his fangs stick out. So I think you've seen a few pictures of him smiling with his fangs sticking out, but he's looking at me with his fangs sticking out at the moment. So it's very entertaining. So my tea today is from Celestial Seasonings. It's a green tea it's called Green Tea Raspberry Gardens with white tea added. It's a very mild tea. It's not very strong. It has slight raspberry taste to it. It's not a very strong green tea taste either, so it's a nice blend of green tea and white tea with a little bit of raspberry mixed in, and it's not sweet, which is good, because sometimes if you have these herbal teas or you think something might be a little more sweet, a little sweeter, this is not sweet, so if you wanted to add sweetness to it, you could add sugar or honey, any other kind of sweetener that your preference is. It does have a little bit of caffeine in it, as it is a green tea, and it has white tea in it. Those are true tea leaves, so they do have a little bit of caffeine, but not nearly as much as black tea. Yes, hi, I'm gonna have to stop petting you, okay? I need both of my hands. So I want to start off with some of my finished objects that I have. I have quite a few pairs of socks. You gonna stay? No. Okay. So first, since I have these on the sock blockers, these are the Sip and Swirl socks by Chrissy Barnwell, or Chris Loves Wool. You'll find her on Instagram and Ravelry as Chris Loves Wool. She's also the host of the In a Snit podcast. And so she just released this pattern about 3 weeks ago. 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she asked me to test knit it, although she was eager to release it before all the test knit had been done, so I didn't finish before the release. But since then, I've knit both socks. It is a nice, quick, fun sock to work up. You can see that there's these slip stitches that kind of give it this swirl pattern to it. It's kind of hard to see when it's stretched out. I think you can see it a little bit better this way, as you can see the swirls that are going down the sock. Now, it's a nice change from a regular vanilla sock pattern, which is just round and round and round and stockinette knitting. So this adds a little bit, some slip stitches in it to give this swirl effect. And then the toe is a little bit different. You can see, let me take it off the blocker, be able to see it a little better. It is a 4-point star toe. So you can see that there's a decrease there, and there. So it's not the typical toe decreases where you decrease on the sides till you get towards the toe. This toe in particular is a little too pointy for my personal preference. I did actually do fewer decreases on the toe than the pattern called for, but that's my personal preference. I don't like my toes as pointy on my socks. So I think that if that's your preference to not decrease as much, you just make the pattern go a little bit longer because you'll have less decreases. But I think as a whole, I mean, I do like this different type of toe. I would do it again, but now that this is the first time I've done it. So now that I know what it's like, I will do more of a pattern and less toe decreases. So it's not as pointy. I like mine. I think there might be a total of 8 stitches across here that I stopped at. I like about 14 before I Kitchener. Sorry, I have fur in my nose. Carl is shedding as we are changing seasons here, and there's a lot more fur around the house. So this is the Slip and Swirl sock, and the yarn that I used here is from Fab Funky Fibers. It's the Cosmopolitan colorway. I really like her yarn. She's out of the UK. I've knit, I think, Dark Side of the Moon, I think it was called, and her 15 rainbow stripes, and Rainy Day Rainbows, I think, was another one that I knit of her yarn, which I really, really like. It's nice and soft, it's durable, and every time I knit socks with her yarn, I get lots and lots of compliments. So, and then I put the Afterthought heel in. I actually was working on this at work and in a meeting, and didn't want to be rude and pull out my phone to look up, say, the OMG heel or a different heel, and so I just put in some waste yarn for where I'm going to put the heel in, and then continued on the pattern for the foot. Had I been at home or not in a meeting, I probably would have done the OMG heel by Megan Williams, but the Afterthought heel works just fine. The other thing I want to say about this pattern is that Christy made this pattern for variegated, and also there's information if you wanted to do for self-striping, where you would do the slips at the change of each stripes. I did what a knitter's not supposed to do and not read the entire pattern all the way through and just started knitting, and I was probably about 2 or 3 repeats in when I realized that I didn't do the self-striping instructions. But that's okay because these are my socks. So I think that, so I did what would be, say, for the variegated, just the normal pattern. So I think the next time I make them, I will do it with the self-striping add-on so that you could see more of what's going on with the change of colors here than all the texture in the color block itself. So that's the only thing, but that was, a faux pas on my part, nothing to do with the pattern itself. I would totally knit this pattern again. It is pretty easy once you know the pattern. It's pretty easy just to remember and continue on your own. That being said, Christy has offered this pattern as a giveaway on the podcast. So I'm going to open a thread for possibility for you to win this pattern, and what I want to know is what sock yarn or what yarn would you use to knit this? Would you use a variegated? Would you use a self-striping? And if so, if you have a picture of it, post the picture so we could see what you would make your Slip and Swirl socks out of. I will open the thread for this when I'm done recording and editing, and I will draw a winner in the next podcast in about 2 weeks. So another finished object I have is my Pomatemus socks by Cookie A. And these were for the knit along that we had in this group. And which I'll get to winners for and talk about our knit along in a little bit. But I want to show my Pomonymous socks. This was the first time I made the Pomonymous socks. They are free pattern. Here they are. You may have already seen them on Instagram. They are a free pattern on Knitty by Cookie A. And it took a little bit for me to get used to the twisted stitches, so knitting through the back loop. But once I got the hang of it, it went really fast. I think I knit the second sock in like 2 days or 2.5 days, a couple evenings. Because once you get the hang of it, it definitely goes a lot faster. I really like the yarn. It is Above the Clouds by Juliana's Fiber. A lot of fun, and it definitely springy. So when I was staring at snow out the window, it was nice to think of springtime and sunshine, above the clouds. And well, this is kind of fitting of the weather that I have outside today, which is really, really nice. So these are my contribution to our knit along. And I know several of you started your socks and didn't finish them. So maybe we'll have a knit along later where we finish our projects that we started during other knit alongs, whether my podcast, this podcast, or any others. I finished another pair of socks, and this was my project for the Downseller Studios podcast, hashtag Whip 2017 in the butt, because I made the first sock, in about a year ago or over a year ago, in January of 2016, and it is the Tumbling Blocks pattern. So you can see the change of these blocks and within the stripes, and it is a paid for pattern, and this pattern is by Leah Oakley, Agile Knitter 1 on Instagram, and I really like the pattern. I think the reason why I put the socks down is one, I had to make another pair of socks, and then I don't know if I was sold on how the yarn and this pattern worked together. So I think I just put it down and let it sit for a while, and this knit along in the Downseller Studios podcast group kind of kicked me in the butt, so whip it in the butt, to get them done, get them off the needles, knit the second sock. So last weekend on April 1st, since this was my April whip, I sat down on April 1st, cast on, and the evening of April 2nd, I had a second sock. I can't say that I got a whole lot of other non-knitting stuff done last weekend. I did actually. I did a lot of grading on Saturday, but Sunday was a day of knitting. So here's a pair of socks. The yarn is by Lollipop Yarn. It was the formerly known as the Gripes base, now Quintessential, and it is Blue Skies and Rainbows is the colorway. So you can see the rainbow. So your pink or reddish, orange, yellow, green, blue, and then your violet, and then it repeats. I guess this is upside down. That's okay. I don't really care. I guess if you're looking at it straight at my foot like this, it would be the correct orientation. But it's pretty to me either way, so it doesn't matter. And no, they're not matchy-matchy, because you can see that I have this pink split here, not here, and that at the top, this one starts with pink, this one starts with green, but honestly, I don't really care. I like them like this. So those are all the finished objects that I have. So by finishing those 3 pairs of socks, I now have finished 9 pairs of socks for 2017, which seems kind of insane. But I have gotten 4 whips off the needles of socks. So I would say that is most definitely progress. As far as my whips, I do have more socks in progress. And first one I want to talk about is my Desert Vista Dye Works socks for the month. And I started this one Saturday night and finished it last night. So in 2 days. I had a snuggly cat on my lap when I was about to get up, and then I said, well, I don't want to move the kitty. We had an eventful week. Unfortunately, Carl isn't solely an indoor cat, and on Tuesday we were sitting on the couch and he's lying on his back in his normal Carl sleeping position, and this little black bug crawled across his stomach, and I went, what's that? And grabbed it, tried to, and I finally grabbed it, but it was moving quickly, split it in half, looked at it, and I went, oh no. And then started looking in his fur, and another one started crawling out, and I said, Carl, how do you have fleas? You're an indoor kitty, you know, how? So obviously I was quite freaked out, unhappy. You know, the last thing I want is fleas in the house. Fortunately, we don't have much carpeting and hardwood floors we have, so that's good. I found one more flea on him on Wednesday, and fortunately I have not found any since, but as a result, I haven't really wanted to snuggle with Carl because every time I think about it, I get itchy. And I put this powder on the area rug that we had and the mats for my shoes, and to hopefully kind of keep the fleas from becoming an infestation in the house. So as a result, I think Carl was not feeling well because I had put flea meds on him. Fortunately, I had some in the house, and things were just not in normal disarray. So when he sat on my lap on Saturday and just laid there for an hour, I was quite happy because he wasn't as snuggly all week. So I was able to get the slip and swirl sock done and start on my first socks for the Desert Vista Dye Work socks for the month. So anyway, the flea situation seems to be okay. I'm hoping we don't have any eggs that hatch, but everything seems good. I found only those 3 fleas on Carl, and they're all gone, and he seems happy as a clam now, which is good. So back to my socks. This is the James Bond Octopussy colorway, and it definitely reminds me of April. We've got sort of the gloomy with the rain and the clouds, and then you have blue skies and green, so this to me sums up April and spring with April showers and spring on its way. So this is the first sock. I started it, as I said, Saturday, and I finished it Sunday. It's just a vanilla sock. As you can see, I didn't weave in the end yet for this. I just want to make sure it fits the recipient properly, so I don't, in case I have to pull out the Kitchener and add more to the toe, I don't want to weave this in until I know everything is squared away. So this is the first of the 2 socks for April. And then the other sock, I think I may have shown this in progress last time, but this is another vanilla sock. I started it when I was doing some pattern socks and I needed some brainless knitting, and so vanilla socks are that way, and this is just a vanilla sock. It is Knit Picks Felici Beyond the Wall colorway, and these will be for a friend. Her birthday is later this year, and I figured, well, if I have the time, why not? So the one sock is done, and maybe by the next time we talk again, I will have completed the second one. I'm not sure. So those are my sock works in progress. I do have a couple others. If you remember, I don't know if it was the second or third podcast, I talked about what you would make for a 4-year-old girl, and using this purple shepherd's wool. And so I decided to make the kitty vertebrae. And so I have it started, and I've talked to the little girl's mom, so one of my best friends from college, and so I'm going to make this for her. So I don't have a whole lot done, but I've started it, and I decided to make this instead of like a full sweater because she can use it kind of as a jacket in the summer, the spring and the summer, and even the fall, instead of, you know, being a heavy sweater and then it being too hot outside. I currently have this on US size 8s. I will transfer to a smaller needle when the pattern calls for it. My stitch markers here, this one says I Heart Yoga, and then it came with a set with these other pink and silver ones, and there's a few others that are not on here that I have, but these stitch markers are from Yuli. Her shop is Knitter's Nook on Etsy. I love her stitch markers. I really, really like them. So if you need stitch markers and you need some fun ones, go check out her shop. They are a little chainmail. She has a lot of different colors. Ones for smaller needles, ones for larger needles. I just really like her stitch markers. So I would check out her shop and go buy some from her. Another work in progress that I have is, I'm trying to check my bags here. My a test knit that I have that I just started. I actually just cast on this morning. I had to listen to some training video for work and I could listen to it, so I cast on. So there's not a whole lot done. Plan on working on that this week. But the pattern is called Frog Pond Cowl, and this is by Brazen Raven Fiber Arts. And coincidentally, she's actually local to me. She only lives about an hour away from me. But I'm test knitting her pattern. I've never met her, so we talked about when the weather became consistently nice. Maybe we meet up in person. But she has this test knit out, and so it's got some cables in it. It's a frog pond. The cables ultimately look like little frogs, and I'm knitting it in this colorway. It's called Kale, and so it's got the darker color and the green color of Kale. This is by Sequoia Dye Works. Now, I'm not sure if they're dyeing yarn anymore. I was out in the Pacific Northwest. I think I got this when I was in Vancouver in December of 2011. And so, you know, when you go on vacation, you try and find a yarn or a dyer that is local to that area. So I picked this up, and so I did look online, but I'm not sure that this dyer is still dyeing. But it is a fingering weight. Let me see if I can pull the label out. For this project, I'm using US size 4. So, Sequoia Dye Works, quality hand-dyed yarns, and so the colorway is Kale. So it's 100% superwash merino, 420 yards. So I thought this was a fitting choice because this should meet the gauge for the pattern. So as I said, I just cast that on this morning. So the next time, I'm supposed to have it done, I think, in the next week. So that shouldn't be a problem now on vacation. So the next time I podcast, I should be able to show you a finished object. And then the last work in progress I want to talk about, I showed you last time and haven't worked on it in 2 weeks, is my Miso shawl by Amba O'Brien. I've been too busy knitting socks, so I haven't picked this up. So I need to pick this up. But this is a Miso shawl by Amba O'Brien. And as I said, I was testing this yarn for the dyer. And this is Spencer Hale naturally dyed yarn. And it's on the Ruth base, but I don't think she has it yet. I know she's ordered it and plans on dyeing it. It is a singles. It is merino. It is really soft. And I know last time I was talking about that it has a slight halo, but that's okay. But it's really nice and soft and squishy. And I'm really excited to actually sit down and knit on this some more. And so that brings me to our next knit along, which is the Amba O'Brien knit along. And originally I said it would go from April 1st until June 15th, but I think I'm going to make it go until the end of June, just because not everyone knits as fast as I do or has as much free time, because maybe you have little kids or other things going on in your life. But knitting for me is my de-stressor, and that's pretty much what I do most evenings, and I guess I do knit fast. I mean, I did knit pretty much 2 socks this weekend, and today's Monday. So we will have the Amba O'Brien knit along, and so you can knit whatever shawl of hers that you'd like, whether it's a 2-color, a 3-color, or like the miso, a 1-color. Some of them have lace in them, some of them don't. Some of them have striping portions to them, but she has some really, really beautiful shawls, and so I think that everyone should go take a look, see if there's one that they like. She has quite a few, and she also has hats and mitts, so you don't have to stick to a shawl if you don't want to. She has other options, other accessories, but we are going to have that knit along, and I do have a prize for that. So I guess before I get into that, I just want to make sure I've got all my works in progress and everything finished objects shown to you. So going along with that knit along for Amba O'Brien, we do have a prize, at least one prize so far, and it's from yarn that I purchased from Tilting Planet. And actually this just came in the mail today, so had I podcasted yesterday on Sunday when I was supposed to, you wouldn't have seen this. So it's Tilting Planet, and you can see that this colorway is called Papaya. It is a 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% stellina. So it has gold stellina in it. You can see it sparkling through the packaging. So it's Tilting Planet. I love the label. Kind of cool. And I actually, this is a new dyer to me. I have yet to knit with any of her yarn, but I found it through Instagram, which is, I have a love-hate relationship with. But I found found her shop on Instagram and ordered some yarn early last week, and it came really quickly. And then she had an update later in the week, I think Friday. So Friday, and today's Monday, and the yarn appeared in my mailbox today. And she lives in Alabama, and I'm in New York. So amazing service as far as getting it out and shipped. So what I first ordered was this, and it's called Wednesday. And I have some plans for this yarn, but we'll talk about that next time. Hopefully I get to use it for what my plans were. But I don't want to spoil it because it might be a surprise for somebody. So this is what I originally saw and ordered, and I said must have that. And then when she had the update, I saw and ordered a few more with the idea of giving one as a prize for our Amba O'Brien knit along. So this will be one of the prizes. So as I said, it's the Papaya colorway. It's really, really soft. Really like it. And then I ordered that you can't just order one. So I got the one that was Bengal as well. I don't want to crunch too much because I know how the crunchy sounds online. But this is Bengal. This is 100% superwash merino, and so it's kind of like Bengal tiger with the orangey brown and the black of a tiger. So I'm looking forward to using these. Again, I have some ideas for them, but there's not enough hours in the day. Let's see, and then some of the other enabling that I want to talk about is not yarn, but a wool wash for, I guess, your woolens, your hand knits. Oh, she also sent a stitch marker, so I will include this in one of the prizes that we have. It's a little Can you see it? It's a little ball. It looks more of a progress keeper as far as how far you get versus actually a stitch marker. And so it's a pink ball, and it has this, see it through the plastic, swirl in it, but it's really cool. I really like it. I would like to keep it for myself, but that'd be nice, and I don't really need it, so I will share it with you. So anyway, I did order this wool wash. You may have heard of it before, but it's called Tuft Woolens, and here is the card. So it's Tuft Woolens, tuftwoolens.com, and I ordered 3 bars. This one is the Juicy Orange Ginger, Vanilla Almond, and the Lavender. And since they arrived, the lavender has been making my entire living room smell very nice. It's amazing. And I had been given a sample of this by a dear friend, and I've been using it to wash my socks for the last, I think, 2 months, and it's been great. So when she was able to restock her shop, I was able to get a couple bars, and I can't wait to use them because I do knit a lot of socks. Obviously, I've finished 9 pairs this year alone, and it's only April 10th. So I know that those bars of soap will be put to good use. So I did want to share those with you. I do like that soap. I had been using Soak previously to wash, but it does not get the socks as clean. I think that'd be good for a shawl or some other garment that may not get as much wear as that's on your feet, because this bar, you can rub it on the wet sock and kind of work that soap in to try and get that grime out, depending on where the sock, if you're walking along the floor in your house or wherever you might be. So I really like that for my socks. All right, so that's what I'm going to show you for the enabling. I did have a question on the Ravelry group that was before the last podcast, and I meant to answer it, and I totally forgot. So I'm sorry, Rosie, but I'm going to answer your question today. So it's from Rosie L. from our group, whose name is Rosie, and she asked me, do I knit one or a few projects, or do I have a lot of works in progress? Because when she first started knitting, she just had one project going, and then she got to know other knitters and got very excited and had a whole bunch of projects on the needles and cast on a lot of things. And then probably a few languished, and now she tries to keep between 3 and 4 on the needles. As you can see, that I do have several projects on the needles. I do try, I think when I'm working on things, sometimes I'm a little more monogamous when I'm actually working on them. But I do obviously have several things on the needles sprawled out here in my living room. I think that my sock needles are currently empty. And then I have 2 half finished objects, just 2 socks. And I do have the miso in progress. I have the cowl in progress and the kitty vertebrae in progress. So I do have several works in progress, things on the needles at the same time. This is probably a lot that I'm working on all at once. But as I am participating in the Downseller Studios WIP 2017, the butt, and I've been successful for now 4 months, means that I do have a lot of languishing whips that, as you said in your question, you get excited about a project, and then maybe you find something new and exciting that you've cast on, or maybe you stumbled into a problem and that you don't want to deal with it right now, so you put it aside, and then it sits and sits and sits. So I do have several whips. I think I'll be able to finish Downseller Studios 12 months of whip in the butt. As I can think of several more pairs of socks, several blankets, several other things, sweaters, that need to be finished. But as far as actively working, I think I generally try and work on one thing at a time, maybe 2. but I can feel that overwhelmed like all over the place. So it's almost like if I have something and I'm tired of working on it, I just put it away and it's out of sight, out of mind. So I think I can be monogamous and have a lot of projects all at the same time, but I think a lot of us are that way. I do want to talk about our Cookie A sock knit along. We had 3 entries, so 3 finished socks, not including my own, or 4 with mine. So Rosie L finished her monkey socks. El McCall Linda, she did the Hedera socks. And Hello Please Kathleen, I believe she did the monkey socks as well. I think so. And so we had 2 prizes. I said that I was going to donate a prize, a pattern up to $7. And I realized after I published that I never showed the yarn for the giveaway, but it is Miss Babs. It's Cosmic Hand Painted Sock Yarn. It's really pretty. So this was the other prize. And being that there's 3 people that completed socks, I didn't want the 3rd person to feel left out. So I will donate a second prize of a $7 pattern. So the 3 of you, if you want to message me of what your preference is, this is the sock yarn by Miss Babs. It is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards. So if you want the yarn or a pattern, just please give me your preference. So the first come, first serve for the yarn. And as far as the patterns, please let me know. And we'll be in touch and I can get you your prizes. So thank you very much for participating in my first knit along for the podcast. It made me actually really happy that people participated. And I'm hoping that more people will get involved in the Amba O'Brien knit along. So as far as things that are up and coming, I have a lot on the needles right now. So I want to finish those items before I say new things that I'm going to cast on. I think everyone has that wish list of, I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. But there's only so many hours in a day, and only so many sets of needles in the house. So I'm going to finish a few of these projects, and then I think in about 2 weeks when I podcast again, I'll be able to give you a better, more up and coming of what's going to be on the needles or needle adjacent in many ways. So what are you guys working on? What's on your needles? I'm going to guess a lot of you have socks, as most of us do, but what else are you working on? What kinds of things do you want to cast on? What's on that wish list? And the question that I was asked, are you a monogamous knitter, or do you have a lot of works in progress that are sitting around your house saying, work on me? So let me know. Please come check us out, the TeaKnits podcast on Ravelry. And I hope that everything's going well for all of you, and that if spring is in your neck of the woods, I hope you're enjoying it, the sunshine and the warmth, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.